Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Uncivil Law. Hope you're having a great day, and we're tuning in once again for the Karen Reed Spectacular. We turn our attention to part two of this wonderful murder trial, in which we are continuing with the state's witnesses. So far, we have heard testimony from multiple people indicating that Karen Reed said some version of "I hit him" some number of times. Whether or not she said those words or said other words, is a question. Also, the fact, of course, there is no report relating to this that was contemporaneous, and no one mentioned it initially, which is a little weird. But we have multiple people saying they heard it, although it was never written down by any of the officers ever, and people who testified to it didn't necessarily testify to it at the first grand jury. So there's that. But, there's more than enough people who have said, she said, "I hit him, I hit him, I hit him," that I think a reasonable jury could conclude that she said it. And, the truth of the matter is that words from the defendant's own mouth are like a jury's favorite thing in this world. They love it. They love it more than anything else. They love it more than physical evidence. They love it more than DNA. They love it. They love it more than all the things. If you have a confession or a supposed confession from a defendant, juries eat that shit up, man. They eat that shit up in the face of contradictory physical evidence, contradictory DNA, contradictory lots of things. Juries just eat that shit up. And so if a jury finds that statement to be credible, that statement alone can get them past the endpoint. And perhaps it shouldn't. Perhaps it shouldn't, but juries just eat that shit up. You can have all the experts testify about the physics and the evidence collection and the many, many deficits, but juries, the truth of the matter is that juries overlook a lot in the face of confessions, because juries are under some sort of belief collectively that surely they would never say anything incriminating, right? If they were accused, surely they would never say an incriminating thing. Which, of course, is a lie. They absolutely 100% would. But juries are under some sort of collective delusion that, unless you were guilty, no one would ever say anything that makes you look guilty. And juries just eat that shit up. And they eat it up for lunch every day of the week and twice on Sunday. And so, if the jury believes that she said that statement, and there are certainly a lot of people who said it, who said that they heard it. You heard it from multiple different people. At least 4 or 5 different people said they heard it. It's like that can be enough for a conviction just by itself. And all the physical evidence problems in the world, all the evidentiary problems in the world, even all the inconsistent statements in the world, even from these witnesses. Like if it were one person that, had said it and there were problems with their testimony, maybe. But you've heard it, from 4 or 5 different people at this point? And so, that's a lot to explain away. And again, I don't think it's necessarily that difficult to believe that even if she said it, that she said it in a state of hysteria and wasn't aware of what she's saying. But good luck convincing a jury of that. Good luck convincing a jury that a person would have hysteria and not be aware of what they're saying. Juries, again, are under some collective belief that, they would never do the stupid thing. Again, even though they would. And so, all that bullshit. So, yeah. So the state has made its prima facie case, and definitely enough to convince some people in the end, despite mountains of evidence to the contrary. Despite mountains of evidence to the contrary that she is in fact guilty. So that is the reality of the situation, I fear. And that is sort of where we're sitting. And of course, we haven't had the biggest problems with the state's case yet. We haven't had the glory that is Michael Proctor, or any of the evidence collection problems and the evidence logs and the state medical examiner and the physics with ARCA. We certainly haven't had enough. But everything that I'm aware of, every piece of literature I've ever read on the subject tells me that juries eat up confessions. They eat them up. They eat them up. Surely I would never say the incriminating thing. I would never say I hit him unless I did. I would never say that, even though of course they would. But juries are under some belief that innocent people never say things that could incriminate them. Probably the same reason that they talk to the police in the first place, because they're like, "Oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Surely I won't incriminate myself as I talk to the police because I didn't do anything wrong." Like those are one and the same thing. So, yeah, there's all those challenges. And also, I found AJ's questioning style to be overly aggressive, badgering, argumentative, asked and answered, and a lot of other things. I think AJ is coming off as a bully. I think he comes off as a bully a lot. I think that is very potentially problematic for the jury. You know, you need the jury to like you as the lawyer. You need them to like you. And if you come off as a bully or you come off as, you know, unbalanced, that's going to be a real problem. So I think on balance, I think on balance that things are going pretty well for the government. On balance, at the moment, based on what's been presented in the courtroom. So we'll see how it goes, but yeah, defense I think is not necessarily doing as good as I want them to do. I feel like this is going a lot better for the state than version one. I mean, everyone's had their dress run, so their testimony is better than it was the first time around, but it is what it is. So I think you have to change the probabilities of conviction from the first trial. You know, I mean, there's always that 5% base chance just because the defendant is sitting there. But I think their chances are better than that. I mean, at the moment, although there's a lot of game left to play at the moment, you know, if you had to score this thing right now, if for some reason the jury was forced to make a decision right this second, which technically they could, because I hit him would be viewed as a confession that would meet each and every element of the crime. So technically the jury has enough to convict right now. So if the jury was forced to have a vote right now, you'd vote in favor, you'd predict a guilty verdict, you know. And the defense has not done enough, at least in my opinion, to show them to be liars. And to the extent they have, they've come off as a bully and unlikable, and it's worked against them. So I don't know that things are necessarily going in the direction Karen Reed wants it to be going. That is where we're going, man. That is where we're going. Of course, you know, there's still a lot of game left to play. The state has to put on its police case, which there are so many holes in that. You know, for the juries that actually take reasonable doubt seriously, you know, there's plenty of reasonable doubt, although not necessarily at this point. At this point, you can make an argument there's not necessarily reasonable doubt at this point. But there's still a lot of things left to happen, so there could be reasonable doubt at some point in the future. The press tour probably didn't also help, yeah, with the statements and things like that. So, yeah. I'm getting an ominous feeling as we're getting into this case that I'm getting an ominous feeling at the moment that we're heading towards a conviction. Yeah. That is my ominous feeling. We'll see. Just waiting for the court to resume. Please make sure to take 10 seconds to retweet the pinned comment if you haven't done so already. It would really help with discovery. Make sure to hit the like button on YouTube and retweet if you wouldn't mind. It takes, 10 seconds to do that. Both things would be appreciated in helping make sure that people are aware of the stream and helping the channel grow. It'd be extensively appreciated. Thank you. Arca testimony is pretty compelling. I agree.